It's the world famous KROQ. I'm Nicole Alvarez here with one of our faves, Robert DeLong. Hi.
Hey, how's it going?
This was not your first rodeo.
I suppose not, yeah.
No, you've actually also been to the Coachella KROQ Party House, but this was like 3, 4.
2013, yeah. So, yeah.
Oh, so you remember exactly.
Oh, yeah.
You played already. You played yesterday.
I did, yeah.
Let's go back to the first time you played Coachella and let's compare the two because I'm curious to see, A, how far you've come as an artist, but like just observing how the festival's changed or what you've changed performance-wise. So let's go back to the first time.
Yeah, so, 2013, I had just gotten signed and really had just started touring. And, it was all a new experience. I had...
Nerves?
I was very nervous at the time and had, kind of some long, shaggy hair.
I remember.
And, it was fun. And my setup was a lot more minimal compared to what it is now. This year I brought out like a giant ramp system. I brought out
Nice.
Kamasi Washington and Lizzie Sterling as some guests. And, I got to play later in the day, obviously. And it was great. It was a fantastic experience.
How are the nerves now? Or those are you're just a professional now, like... doesn't even matter.
For something like Coachella, it's still nerve-wracking, for the first 3 songs. But once you're into it, it's plug and play. You do the thing.
Why is it that something like Coachella gets people nervous? Is it because of who's on the bill or just because there's so many people watching, so many different people that aren't necessarily just there for you?
Right, Coachella is just so hyped. There's just so much going into it. People are like, this is, the festival that, everyone's going to be talking about this year or whatever. So I think that just that, there's that kind of added pressure. But also I think it's because... so many people do so much cool stuff at Coachella.
This is where they break out the bag of tricks.
Yeah, right. Well, it's fun. It's cool. It was great.
But also, and I'll see if you agree on this, there's something about the desert. There's a certain desert energy, like it's mystical almost. Do you feel that when you're up there and like the horizon it's iconic at this point with the Ferris wheel and the trees lit up. It brings out something different.
Yeah, no, I love it. I used to live in the Inland Empire, and I'd come out to Joshua Tree all the time, and I kind of fell in love with the desert. So there is this kind of a special feeling when you're in the desert, for sure.
So you grew up in a suburb of Seattle. I'm assuming you were already a big music fan just based on like where you grew up, because it's everywhere
right.
there. So what was your first experience, like first show or first time that you were like, this is the world I want to live in?
You mean as far as like music or
yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to say. I was always a big fan of music. My dad was a big fan of music, so that was kind of how I was exposed to it. My first concert was a Pat Metheny concert, so more like jazz.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but I think it was probably when I was in high school, and like in high school, like Modest Mouse and Death Cab were kind of the rising stars in the Seattle scene. And so going to those shows, I remember like there was I definitely felt like this is something special, and I would love to get into this and make a career out of it.
What was your first gig like?
My first gig?
Yeah.
Well, I played in a lot of like punk bands and like indie rock bands and stuff like that as a drummer. But my first solo gig was, if I remember right, it was at a coffee house, and I played like 5 songs with my computer and a guitar and a couple controllers, and I think the computer crashed about 3 songs in.
Holy crap.
Yeah. Things have changed. Yeah.
Okay, so you've since then you've come such a long way. What are some pinch me moments that you've had, some things that you look back and you're like, I can't believe that happened to me, or I can't believe I'm doing this?
Right. Honestly, playing Coachella for the second time is sort of amazing, and it's definitely surreal every time you do something like that. Bonnaroo was a big moment. I think
Bonnaroo is awesome.
I think maybe one of the biggest moments for me was when I went to, I played a festival called Splendor in the Grass in Australia. That was back in 2013, and it was still pretty early on in the touring cycle for me. And for me, it was just like, wow, there's all these people here, halfway across the world that know my music and are here out partying with me. It was
This was
amazing.
in Australia?
Yeah, in Australia, 2013.
What other places have you been to that people know your music and it just blows your mind?
We've been, I've toured Europe a few times, and I'm always surprised, like when I come through like Berlin or the UK, that there's like these pockets of fans that are really really into it, and it's bizarre to me. It's cool. I love it. It's definitely flattering.
What's on your artist bucket list?
Well, yesterday I got to see Sufjan, which was actually really fantastic. LCD sound system, obviously, yesterday
Aren't they
as well.
freaking phenomenal?
Oh yeah, great. It sounded great. Everything was great.
They actually remind me. You both remind me of each other because I consider you both architects of sound, not just musicians.
Right.
But do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah.
So you take like noise and you layer it and you create some sort of like musical world from it. It's fantastic. So I I would love to see a collaboration right there.
I would love that too.
So we're just throwing it out into the universe, like a LCD Sound System Robert DeLong collaboration.
I think it's going to happen now.
Okay, I think so too. In fact, I think that's where we drop the mic right now, because next weekend, that is exactly what's going to happen.
Absolutely.
So next weekend when you come back, will anything be different for you? Do you want to change it up a bit?
Well, you know what? I think you'll have to come back next weekend to see what happens.
I like it. Okay. This is Robert DeLong, everybody. I'm Nicole Alvarez. We're live in Indio from the KROQ Coachella House. Ow.